Hello and welcome. Today, we're going to explore one of the most powerful yet overlooked principles of success, a principle that's been quietly working in your life, whether you've noticed it or not. We're diving into The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy, former publisher of Success magazine and a personal development expert who spent decades studying what separates high achievers from everyone else. Here's what makes this book different. Darren Hardy isn't selling you a get-rich-quick scheme or promising overnight transformation. Instead, he's revealing something much more valuable, the science of small, consistent actions and how they create extraordinary results over time. Think about it this way. If you improve by just 1% each day, you won't notice much difference tomorrow or even next week. But over the course of a year, you'll be 37 times better than when you started. That's not magic. That's mathematics. That's the compound effect. Now, you might be thinking, I've heard this before. Small steps lead to big results. But here's the catch. Most people know this intellectually, yet very few actually apply it. Why? Because the compound effect works both ways. Small, seemingly insignificant choices you make every day are either compounding in your favor or working against you. That candy bar after lunch, the extra 30 minutes of television, skipping that workout, these tiny decisions feel inconsequential in the moment, but they're quietly shaping your future. Over the next hour, we're going to break down exactly how the compound effect works, why it's so powerful, and most importantly, how you can harness it to transform every area of your life, your health, your wealth, your relationships, and your career. So settle in, get comfortable, and let's begin this journey together.
Let me start with a story that Darren Hardy shares right at the beginning of the book. Imagine three friends. Let's call them Larry, Scott, and Brad. They're all in similar situations, same age, same income, reasonably happy lives. Then, they each make slightly different choices. Larry decides he's content with his life. He doesn't make any major changes, just continues his daily routine exactly as before. Scott makes a few small negative changes. He starts having an extra dessert a few times a week, watching a bit more TV, maybe having one more beer than usual. Nothing dramatic, just small indulgences here and there. Brad goes the other direction. He starts reading 10 pages of an inspirational book each morning, cuts 250 calories from his daily diet, and begins walking just 1 mile every evening. Again, nothing extreme. Now here's the fascinating part. After 5 months, nothing noticeable has changed for any of them. After 10 months, still no real difference. Their friends and family wouldn't notice anything different about any of these three men. But fast forward to month 25, a little over 2 years, and the results are dramatic. Scott has gained 33 pounds. His marriage is struggling because he's been spending more time watching sports and less time with his wife, and he's been passed over for a promotion at work. Larry is about the same, not better, not worse. But Brad? Brad has lost 33 pounds, his marriage is thriving, and he's just received a major promotion because the books he's been reading have made him more valuable at work. What happened? The compound effect happened. This is the core principle. Small, smart choices made consistently over time create radical differences. But here's what makes it tricky. There's a lag time. In the beginning, there's no obvious payoff. That's why most people quit. They don't see immediate results, so they assume what they're doing isn't working. Darren Hardy explains it like this. Imagine you're standing in a massive, calm ocean. You jump straight up. When you land, you create tiny ripples. They're barely visible. But those ripples move outward, and eventually they reach shores thousands of miles away. Your small actions today are creating ripples that will become waves in your future. The compound effect isn't about making one dramatic leap. It's about making countless tiny adjustments that eventually create momentum so powerful nothing can stop you. The 3 keys to triggering the compound effect: According to Hardy, there are three essential components that make the compound effect work in your favor. First, your choices. Everything in your life exists because of a choice you made or didn't make. Your weight, your bank account, your relationships, all results of your choices. The problem is, we often operate on autopilot, making unconscious decisions without realizing their long-term impact. Second, your behavior. Choices mean nothing without action. You can decide to get healthy, but unless you change your behavior, what you actually eat, how you actually move, nothing changes. Third is your habits. Here's where the real magic happens. When behaviors become habits, they become automatic. You no longer need willpower or motivation. Habits run in the background of your life, either building you up or tearing you down, whether you're paying attention or not. The beautiful thing about understanding these three components is this: you have complete control over all of them. Your life isn't determined by your circumstances, your past, or your genetics. It's determined by the small choices you make every single day.
One of the most powerful sections of the book deals with something most people struggle with: taking complete, total, 100% responsibility for their lives. Darren Hardy is adamant about this. He says luck has very little to do with success. Sure, some people are born into better circumstances than others, but that's not what determines your ultimate destination. What matters is what you do with what you've been given. He shares his own story. His father was tough, really tough. From a young age, Hardy's dad made him work for everything. While other kids got allowances, Hardy had to earn every penny. While other kids were coddled, Hardy's father pushed him to take responsibility for his choices. At the time, he resented it. But looking back, he credits his father's approach with giving him the mental framework for success. His dad taught him one essential lesson: you are responsible for your life. No one is coming to rescue you. No one else is going to make your dreams happen. You own your results. This is a hard pill to swallow. It's much easier to blame the economy, your boss, your spouse, your parents, or just bad luck. But here's the thing about blame: it gives away your power. When you blame external factors for your problems, you also give those factors power over your solutions. Think about it. If your lack of success is because of the economy, then you're powerless until the economy changes. If your unhappiness is because of your spouse, you're stuck until they change. But when you take full responsibility, suddenly you're back in control. You can change your approach, develop new skills, adjust your strategy. Hardy tells us to eliminate all excuses and victim language from our vocabulary. Stop saying things like, "I can't because," or "if only," or "it's not my fault that." These phrases leak your power away. Instead, ask empowering questions. What can I do differently? How can I improve this situation? What am I not seeing? This shift in mindset is transformational. When you accept that you're 100% responsible for everything in your life, you stop waiting for circumstances to change and start creating the change yourself. Your choices define your life. Here's an uncomfortable truth. You're making hundreds of choices every day, and most of them you're not even conscious of. You're operating on autopilot, following patterns you established long ago, unaware that these unconscious choices are steering your life in a very specific direction. Darren Hardy challenges us to wake up and become aware. He suggests a powerful exercise: track your behavior. He shares how he once had a friend who couldn't understand why he wasn't losing weight. He was trying everything, but the scale wouldn't budge. So Hardy gave him an assignment. Write down everything you eat for 2 weeks. Everything. Every snack, every drink, every bite. The friend resisted at first, but finally agreed. 2 weeks later, he came back shocked. He had no idea how much he was actually eating. The mindless handful of nuts here, the second helping there, the just one cookie that was actually 3 cookies. It all added up. Once he became aware of his actual choices, change became possible. This is the power of awareness. You cannot change what you don't acknowledge. Hardy recommends tracking everything that matters to you for at least 1 week. If you want to improve your finances, track every penny you spend. If you want better health, track everything you eat and every minute you exercise. If you want better relationships, track how much quality time you spend with loved ones. The act of tracking creates consciousness, and consciousness is the first step toward better choices. Now, once you're aware of your choices, you need to understand what's driving them. Hardy talks about the importance of getting clear on your why, your core motivation. Why do you want success? Why do you want health? Why do you want wealth? Your why has to be deep and personal. It can't be superficial. I want to be rich isn't strong enough, but I want financial freedom so I never have to choose between paying bills and spending time with my kids. That's powerful. That's a why that will pull you through the difficult days. Hardy suggests making a list of all the reasons you want to achieve your goals. Really dig deep. Think about how achieving your goal will make you feel, how it will change your life, how it will affect the people you love. The stronger your why, the easier it becomes to make the right choices when they matter most.
The power of habit. Darren Hardy is crystal clear about this. Your habits will determine your future. Not your goals, not your intentions, not your wishes. Your habits. Think about your current life. What you weigh, how much money you have, the quality of your relationships. These are all outcomes of your habitual behaviors. The good news? If you change your habits, you change your outcomes. But here's where most people get stuck. They try to overhaul their entire life overnight. They decide on January 1st that this is the year everything changes. They're going to exercise every day, eat perfectly, save half their income, and wake up at 5 a.m. By January 10th, they've collapsed back into their old patterns. Why? Because they tried to change too much too fast. Willpower is a limited resource. You can't depend on it forever. Hardy's approach is different. He advocates for making tiny changes, so small they almost seem insignificant. But here's the key. Make them consistent. Want to become a reader? Don't commit to reading an hour a day. Commit to reading 1 page a day. That's it, just 1 page. It sounds almost silly, right? But here's what happens. On most days, you'll read more than 1 page. Once you start, the momentum carries you. But even on your worst days, even when you're exhausted, you can manage 1 page. And that keeps the habit alive. This is what Hardy calls making it easy to start. The hardest part of any habit is the beginning. So make the beginning ridiculously easy. Want to start exercising? Don't commit to an hour at the gym. Commit to putting on your workout clothes. That's the habit. Once you've got your workout clothes on, you'll probably exercise. But even if you don't, you've kept the pattern alive. Hardy also talks about the importance of eliminating bad habits, and here he's equally strategic. You can't just stop a bad habit, you need to replace it with something else. Let's say you want to stop checking social media constantly. Don't just try to white-knuckle it. Instead, every time you feel the urge to check your phone, replace that action with something else. Maybe take 3 deep breaths, or drink a glass of water, or do 10 push-ups. You're rewiring the pattern, not just trying to suppress it. One of the most powerful strategies Hardy shares is what he calls the rhythm strategy. He explains that elite athletes, top performers, and successful people all have one thing in common. They develop routines and rhythms that lock in their success behaviors. Your morning routine, your evening routine, your work routine, these rhythms, when optimized, create a structure that supports your goals automatically. You're not making decisions over and over, you're following a pattern that's already proven to work. Hardy himself has a detailed morning routine that sets him up for success every day. It's not complicated, but it's consistent. And that consistency creates momentum that carries through his entire day. The bottom line with habits is this: you're never going to feel like doing the things that will change your life. Motivation is temporary, inspiration fades, But habits just run. They don't require emotion or motivation, they just happen. Build the right habits, and your success becomes inevitable.
Getting the big mo working for you. Darren Hardy calls momentum the big mo, and he describes it as the most powerful force you can harness in your personal and professional life. Here's how momentum works. In the beginning, change is hard, really hard. It's like pushing a massive boulder uphill. Every step requires enormous effort, and it feels like you're getting nowhere. But if you keep pushing, if you stay consistent with your small actions, something magical happens. The boulder starts moving, slowly at first, then faster. Eventually, it's rolling on its own, and your job shifts from pushing to steering. That's momentum, and once you have it, everything becomes easier. Hardy shares a personal story about getting back in shape. He'd let himself go a bit, and starting his fitness routine again was brutal. The first week, every workout was painful. He wanted to quit. The second week was only slightly better, but by week 4, something shifted. His body started adapting. The workouts became easier. He started looking forward to them. By week 8, working out was just part of who he was. He had momentum. The same principle applies to every area of life. The first few weeks of a new business venture are exhausting. The first few months of changing your financial habits feel restrictive and difficult. The early days of improving a relationship require constant attention and effort. But if you push through, if you stay consistent, momentum builds. And once it builds, maintaining your progress becomes exponentially easier than starting was. Here's the flip side, though, and this is critical. Negative momentum is just as powerful. If you let yourself slip, if you start making poor choices, that downward spiral can pick up speed quickly. Missing one workout becomes missing a week. Overspending once becomes a pattern. One argument with your spouse becomes a cold distance that grows over time. Hardy emphasizes that you must be vigilant about protecting your positive momentum and stopping negative momentum immediately. If you fall off track, don't wait until Monday to start again. Don't wait until next month. Start again right now. The faster you interrupt negative momentum, the less damage it can do. Think of momentum like a flywheel. It takes tremendous energy to get it spinning, but once it's moving, just a little effort keeps it going. Your job is to get that flywheel spinning in the right direction and then protect it fiercely. One strategy Hardy recommends is creating a winning streak. Pick one small habit and commit to doing it every single day for 30 days, no exceptions. Maybe it's making your bed, or reading 10 pages, or writing 3 things you're grateful for. It doesn't matter what it is. What matters is the streak. As your streak grows, you'll feel momentum building. You won't want to break it. That psychological win gives you confidence and proof that you can stick to commitments. And that confidence spills over into other areas of your life.
One of the most eye-opening sections of The Compound Effect deals with influences. Hardy makes a compelling case that you need to be extremely intentional about what you allow into your life, because everything you're exposed to is shaping you, whether you realize it or not. He breaks influences into 3 categories: input, associations, and environment. Let's start with input, what you read, watch, and listen to. Hardy argues that most people are incredibly careless about this. They mindlessly consume news, television, social media, and entertainment without considering the cumulative effect. Think about it. If you watch the news every morning, what are you feeding your mind? Usually negativity, fear, disasters, and conflict. If you scroll through social media for an hour before bed, what are you absorbing? Often comparison, inadequacy, and distraction. Now, none of this might seem harmful in the moment, but remember the compound effect. These small daily exposures compound over time, shaping your worldview, your mood, your expectations, and your beliefs about what's possible.
Hardy challenges us to go on a media diet. He doesn't mean cutting out everything, but being selective and intentional. Instead of watching the news every morning, read a curated news summary once a week. Instead of scrolling through social media, read a book that expands your mind. Instead of listening to music during your commute, listen to podcasts or audiobooks that teach you something valuable. Over the course of a year, these small changes in what you consume can completely transform your knowledge, perspective, and capabilities. Next, let's talk about associations, the people you spend time with. Hardy quotes Jim Rohn's famous line, "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." This isn't just a nice saying, it's a profound truth. The people around you influence your behavior, your standards, your language, your ambitions, and your beliefs. If you're surrounded by people who complain constantly, you'll find yourself complaining more. If you're surrounded by people who eat poorly, you'll find it harder to eat well. If you're surrounded by people who don't value personal growth, your own growth will stagnate. This is uncomfortable because it means you might need to create distance from people you care about. Hardy doesn't say to abandon your friends and family, but he does say to be strategic about who gets your time and energy. He recommends 3 types of associations. Disassociations, people you need to spend less time with because they're pulling you down. These are the chronic complainers, the people who drain your energy, the ones who mock your ambitions or discourage your dreams. Limited associations, people you care about but need boundaries with. Maybe it's a family member you love but who tends toward negativity. You can maintain the relationship while limiting exposure. Expanded associations, people who inspire you, challenge you, and lift you up. These are the people you should actively seek out and spend more time with. Hardy also talks about finding mentors and being part of communities that support your goals. If you want to be an entrepreneur, surround yourself with entrepreneurs. If you want to be healthy, join a fitness community. You need people around you who normalize the behaviors you're trying to adopt. Finally, there's your environment, your physical space. Hardy explains that your environment constantly sends you signals about who you are and what you value. A cluttered, disorganized space sends a message of chaos and lack of control. A clean, intentional space sends a message of clarity and purpose. He recommends designing your environment to support your goals. If you want to read more, put books everywhere, by your bed, in your living room, in your car. If you want to eat healthier, fill your kitchen with healthy foods and remove the junk. If you want to be more productive, create a workspace that's free from distractions. Your environment should make good choices easy and bad choices hard. The overall message of this section is powerful. You cannot hang around negative influences and expect positive results. The compound effect works on influences just like everything else. Small, consistent exposures add up to major impact. Guard your mind carefully.
Going beyond consistency. Up to this point, we've talked about the power of small, consistent actions. But Darren Hardy doesn't stop there. In this section, he introduces strategies for accelerating your results, ways to multiply the effects of what you're already doing. The first accelerator is exceeding expectations. Hardy argues that most people do just enough to get by, just enough to keep their job, just enough to maintain a relationship. But if you want extraordinary results, you need to consistently do more than expected. He tells a story about starting out in his career. While other salespeople made the required number of calls, Hardy made double. While others followed up once, he followed up 3 times. While others worked standard hours, he came in early and stayed late. These weren't massive differences on any given day, but compounded over months and years, they created a massive competitive advantage. The mindset shift here is important. Don't ask, what's the minimum I need to do? Ask, what's the maximum value I can provide? When you consistently exceed expectations, you build a reputation.
You become the person people think of first. Opportunities come to you because you've proven yourself reliable, excellent, and committed. The second accelerator is doing the unexpected. Hardy talks about adding surprise and delight into everything you do. In business, that might mean sending a handwritten thank you note when everyone else sends an email. In relationships, it might mean planning a surprise date night or doing a chore your partner usually handles without being asked. These unexpected touches create memorable moments. They differentiate you. And in a world where most people do exactly what's expected and nothing more, the unexpected makes you unforgettable. The third accelerator is beating the expectations you set for yourself. Hardy suggests creating challenges where you push beyond your own targets. If you committed to reading 10 pages a day, read 15. If you committed to making 10 sales calls, make 12. This strategy builds confidence and creates momentum. Every time you exceed your own expectations, you're proving to yourself that you're capable of more than you thought. That belief compounds into bigger action and bigger results. Hardy also talks about the importance of consistency with intensity. Consistency alone is powerful, but consistency combined with intensity is unstoppable. It's not just about showing up, it's about showing up with full energy and focus. Think about your workout. You could go through the motions for an hour and burn some calories, or you could bring intense focus and effort for 30 minutes and get better results. The same principle applies to your work, your relationships, your learning. Finally, Hardy introduces the concept of beating the odds with numbers. He explains that success often comes down to a numbers game. The more you try, the more you fail, but also the more you succeed. If you want to grow your business, talk to more potential customers. If you want to find a great relationship, meet more people. If you want to land a great job, apply to more positions. Don't just do the minimum, stack the odds in your favor by increasing your volume of attempts. This doesn't mean being reckless or unfocused. It means once you've found something that works, double down, do more of it. The compound effect accelerates when you apply more force in the right direction.
Your health. Let's get practical. How do you apply the compound effect to your health? Hardy is blunt. Your health is your most valuable asset, and most people are slowly destroying it with small, daily choices. That extra serving at dinner, that dessert you didn't really need, that decision to sit on the couch instead of taking a walk. None of these choices seem significant in the moment, but compounded over 10, 20, 30 years, they lead to obesity, disease, low energy, and a diminished quality of life. The good news? The compound effect works in the positive direction just as powerfully. Small, healthy choices compound into vibrant energy, strong bodies, and long, active lives. Hardy recommends starting incredibly small. Don't overhaul your entire diet overnight. Just make one small change. Maybe you replace soda with water. That's it. Do that for a month until it's automatic, then add another small change. Maybe you add a serving of vegetables to one meal each day. Then maybe you take a 10-minute walk after dinner. None of these changes are dramatic, but compounded, they transform your health. The key is sustainability. Extreme diets and brutal workout programs might create short-term results, but they're not sustainable. The compound effect is about changes you can maintain for the rest of your life. Hardy also emphasizes the importance of energy management. Your energy level affects everything else: your productivity, your relationships, your mood, your decisions. So protecting and optimizing your energy is critical. This means getting enough sleep, managing stress, eating foods that fuel you rather than drain you, and moving your body regularly. These aren't exciting or sexy strategies, but they work. Your wealth. When it comes to finances, the compound effect is most obvious. We all understand compound interest intellectually, how money grows when you invest it consistently over time. But most people don't apply it. Hardy shares a powerful example. If you invest just $1 a day, starting at age 20,
With average market returns, you'll have over $1 million by retirement. $1 a day. That's less than a cup of coffee. But here's what's fascinating. Most people won't do this, even though they know it works. Why? Because $1 a day doesn't feel significant. The early gains are invisible. It takes years before you see meaningful growth. This is exactly why understanding the compound effect is so crucial. You have to trust the process even when you can't see the results yet. Hardy recommends several financial habits that seem small but compound dramatically. Track every expense. Just the act of becoming aware of where your money goes changes your behavior. Pay yourself first. Automatically transfer a percentage of every paycheck into savings or investments before you spend anything else. Reduce recurring expenses. That subscription service you barely use, cancel it. That extra cable package, drop it. These small monthly costs add up to thousands over time. Increase your income. Even a small side hustle that brings in an extra few $100s a month compounds into thousands per year. The compound effect also applies to financial knowledge. Reading one book about investing or listening to one podcast about personal finance won't make you rich. But reading one book per month for 5 years? That's 60 books worth of knowledge. That education compounds into better decisions, which compound into wealth. Your relationships. This is perhaps the most important application of the compound effect, yet it's the one people most often neglect. Your relationships with your spouse, your children, your friends, your colleagues are the result of thousands of tiny interactions over time. A relationship doesn't fall apart because of one big fight. It falls apart because of hundreds of small moments of disconnection, disrespect, or neglect. And relationships don't thrive because of grand gestures. They thrive because of consistent, small acts of love, appreciation, and attention. Hardy shares how he transformed his marriage by applying the compound effect. He started small, greeting his wife with a kiss every morning and every evening, asking about her day and actually listening to the answer, texting her something appreciative in the middle of the day, doing one small task to help her without being asked. None of these actions took more than a few minutes, but compounded over months and years, they transformed the quality of his marriage. The same principle applies to your kids. It's not the expensive vacation once a year that builds a strong relationship with your children. It's the 10 minutes of focused attention you give them every day. It's showing up to their games and performances. It's the bedtime routine you never skip. These small, consistent investments compound into a strong bond and lasting influence. With friends, it's the text checking in, the monthly coffee date, the birthday call, the willingness to help when needed. Friendships fade not because of dramatic events, but because of neglect, small moments of not reaching out that compound into distance. Hardy's advice? Choose your most important relationships and commit to small, daily or weekly actions that strengthen them. Put them on your calendar. Make them non-negotiable. Your relationships are the most valuable asset you have, and they deserve the same intentional attention as your health and wealth. Your career. In your professional life, the compound effect can be the difference between mediocrity and extraordinary success. Hardy talks about the importance of continuous learning. Most people stop learning once they finish school. They do their job, collect their paycheck, and never invest in improving their skills or knowledge. But professionals who commit to growing just a little bit every day, reading industry publications, taking courses, learning new skills, seeking feedback, compound that knowledge into expertise that make them invaluable. He recommends what he calls the 1% edge. In any competitive field, the difference between the top performers and average performers is often just 1% advantage. But that 1% compounds into exponentially better opportunities, income, and influence. How do you create that edge? Small, consistent investments. Maybe you arrive at work 30 minutes earlier than everyone else. Maybe you make one extra sales call each day. Maybe you spend 15 minutes each evening reflecting on what you learned and how you can improve. These tiny advantages don't seem significant day to day, but over a year, over 5 years, over a career, they create an insurmountable lead. Hardy also emphasizes the importance of consistency in your work quality. Don't be excellent some days and mediocre others. Be consistently good, always reliable, always professional. This reliability compounds into trust, and trust compounds into opportunity.
When the results don't show yet. This is perhaps the most challenging aspect of the compound effect, staying committed when you can't see results yet. Darren Hardy acknowledges that this is where most people fail. They start strong, full of enthusiasm and commitment, but after weeks or months of effort without visible progress, they lose faith. They quit, and they never discover what would have happened if they just kept going a little longer. Hardy shares the metaphor of the Chinese bamboo tree. When you plant a Chinese bamboo tree, you water and fertilize it for an entire year, and nothing happens, no growth at all. The second year, same thing. You keep watering and fertilizing, and still no visible growth. Third year, fourth year, nothing. Then in the fifth year, the tree suddenly grows 90 feet in just 6 weeks. The question is, did the tree grow 90 feet in 6 weeks, or did it grow over 5 years? The answer, of course, is 5 years. All that time you couldn't see growth, the tree was developing a massive root system underground, preparing for its explosive growth. Your efforts work the same way. Just because you can't see results doesn't mean nothing's happening. Your habits are building roots. Your consistency is creating infrastructure. Your small choices are laying a foundation. Hardy's advice for staying the course. First, trust the process. You don't need to see results to know they're coming. The math is on your side. Consistent effort in the right direction will produce results. It's not a matter of if, but when. Second, find evidence of progress. Even if you haven't reached your big goal yet, there are signs of growth. Maybe you feel more energetic. Maybe you're learning new things. Maybe your relationships are slightly better. Notice and celebrate these small wins. They're proof your efforts are working. Third, adjust but don't abandon. If something truly isn't working after a sustained effort, it's okay to adjust your strategy. But don't confuse the need for adjustment with an excuse to quit. Be honest with yourself about the difference. Fourth, remember your why. This is where that deep, personal reason we talked about earlier becomes crucial. When the journey gets hard, and it will, your why is what pulls you through. Revisit it regularly. Keep it visible. Let it fuel you when motivation fades. Fifth, create accountability. Tell someone about your goals. Better yet, find someone on a similar journey and check in with each other regularly. Accountability keeps you honest and provides encouragement when you need it most. Hardy emphasizes that the people who succeed aren't special. They're not smarter or more talented. They just refuse to quit. They stay in the game long enough for the compound effect to work its magic.
Your impact beyond yourself. As we near the end of our journey through the compound effect, there's one more dimension Darren Hardy wants us to consider: the ripple effect of our choices and actions beyond our own lives. Every choice you make doesn't just affect you. It influences everyone around you, your family, your friends, your colleagues, even strangers. When you make positive choices consistently, you create permission and inspiration for others to do the same. Think about it. When you commit to healthy eating, you're not just improving your own health. You're modeling good behavior for your children. You're influencing your spouse. You might even inspire your friends when they see your transformation. When you build wealth through smart financial choices, you're not just securing your own future, you're teaching your kids about money. You're creating the ability to be generous. You're building a legacy. When you show up as your best self at work, you're not just advancing your own career, you're raising the standard for your team. You're demonstrating what's possible. You're making everyone around you better. Hardy talks about this in terms of leadership, but it's really about influence. And everyone has influence whether they realize it or not.
You're always setting an example. The question is, what kind of example? When you understand that your small daily choices don't just affect your own future, but ripple out into others' futures, it adds a whole new level of meaning and responsibility to the compound effect. You're not just building your life, you're shaping your family's life, your community's standards, and your legacy. That's both humbling and empowering. Hardy encourages us to think generationally. The habits you establish don't just affect you. They get passed down. The financial literacy you develop gets taught to your children. The work ethic you model gets absorbed by those around you. The integrity you live becomes the standard for your sphere of influence. This is perhaps the most inspiring aspect of the compound effect. Your small, consistent choices today can create positive ripples that extend far beyond your lifetime.
So here we are, at the end of our journey through The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. Let's bring it all together. The core message is beautifully simple. Small, smart choices made consistently over time create radical differences in your life. You don't need to make dramatic changes. You don't need to wait for perfect circumstances. You don't need special talent or extraordinary willpower. You just need to understand how the compound effect works and have the discipline to stay consistent. Remember the 3 pillars: choices, behavior, and habits. Be conscious of the choices you're making every day. Take action through your behaviors and lock in those behaviors as habits that run automatically. Take complete responsibility for your life. Stop blaming circumstances and start changing what you can control. Guard your inputs, your associations, and your environment. You become what you're exposed to, so be intentional about what you allow into your life. Build positive momentum through consistency. Protect that momentum fiercely. Interrupt negative momentum immediately. Exceed expectations, both others and your own. Do the unexpected. Apply intensity to your consistency. Trust the process even when you can't see results yet. The Chinese bamboo tree is growing roots even when nothing is visible above ground. And remember, your small choices don't just affect you, they ripple out, influencing everyone in your sphere and potentially creating a legacy that extends beyond your lifetime. The beautiful thing about the compound effect is that it's completely fair. It doesn't care about your past, your background, or your starting point. It only cares about what you do today, and tomorrow, and the day after that. Right now, right this moment, you're on a trajectory. The small choices you've been making have you headed in a specific direction. The compound effect is already working in your life, either for you or against you. The question is, are you happy with where your current trajectory is taking you? If not, the power to change it is entirely in your hands. You just need to make a different choice, take a different action, build a different habit. Start small. Start now. And stay consistent. That's the compound effect. It's not complicated, it's not easy, but it works every single time for anyone willing to apply it. Your extraordinary future is being built today, one small choice at a time. Thank you for spending this time exploring these powerful principles. Now go out there and put them into practice. Your compound effect starts now.